Welcome to Crimson Guitars and to the 5th episode of this series of videos called the Sharpening Masterclass. In this series I am looking at every single commonly used woodworking tool and by extension luthiery tool, and also as many different sharpening methods as I possibly can use, because in my earlier sharpening videos, I was very derogatory about certain methods and narrow-minded, and I don't want to be. I want to experiment and find out what actually works best, what are the pros and cons of each method, and I want to share that with you. So, today I am using a Whetstone Sharpener, and this is a big machine that has a rather large round stone on it, and that sits in a bath of water, and you use it to sharpen your tools. I have got the Triton 120 watt Whetstone Sharpener in front of me, and it is a beauty. It comes with a diamond whetstone, which means that unlike the very old Whetstone Sharpener that I had before, which was by Axminster Power Tools, and it's probably 10-15 years old now. It's definitely 10 or 15 years old because I got it 15 years ago. That had a standard Waterstone, and you would sit there using this damned machine for hours just to get one chisel prepared and ready for use on your normal Waterstones. The Triton one, it's got this diamond impregnated in the stone, and that makes it go much faster. Not quite so fast as the belt grinder that I used in the last video, in video 4. That was looking, well, I was using the Sorby Pro Edge. The main difference between a belt sander, like the Pro Edge, and the Whetstone Sharpener, Whetstone Grinder, Whetstone Sharpener they call it, and this is also something popularized, I think, by Tormac, is that you hollow grind the back of your chisel. Now, I've lost the chisel that I wanted to do. Ah, here it is. It's camouflaged. This chisel has been disintegrated. It's got a terrible old handle. I think it's a Ward. It is literally covered in paint. So I've picked this up at a car boot sale. The edge has been chipped. It is nasty. The bevel angle is wrong as well. So anyway, I'm going to use this Whetstone Sharpener to bring it back to life and see how far I can get with just this tool. Now, first of all, I'm going to have to knock the handle off and put a new handle on here because it's just horrible. So, bonus, I'm going to restore this chisel a little bit on camera. Alright, so this is nasty. I'm just going to see if I can hammer this handle off. There we go. Now I do have some new handles, and these were bought actually at the Yandles Woodworking Show. These are seconds from the fantastic, inimitable Ashley Isles hand tools, and this should just go straight on, really. Sorry for the banging. That should do. Immediately we have something that looks a little bit better. This is a very coarse Crimson Guitars fret rubber, and it's supposed to have a V carved in there, but we were making molds, so I've got it. And what this has is a grit suspended in the rubber, and it will allow me to clean up. Well, on rust, it's actually amazing. On paint, it's taken a little bit more work than I was expecting. No wonder this took me so long. This poor chisel. It's not a Ward, it says warranted cast steel, which means that it was created in the late 1800s or so, when we learned how to actually cast hard steel. I think the Swedes learned how to do it first. although I may well be wrong on that. We used to laminate a thin section of really hard steel on the base, on the bottom, to a softer, more flexible steel on the top. And it was more expensive to do. And the next big development in plane making and chisel making was when we learned how to just cast it in one piece and therefore make them faster. Anyhow, this poor chisel has been ground on a grinder clean. And the back that is supposed to be perfectly flat and wonderful is pitted and has all these grinder marks. It is going to be a very good test of the whetstone sharpener to see if it can, well, I'm pretty sure it can, how long it takes to sort this out. And here we have the Triton Whetstone Sharpener. It's a fairly generic design, but actually quite feature-packed. I have an old Axminster Power Tools one, and the stone in that is very slow working, whereas this one is actually a diamond stone. I suppose diamond impregnated ceramic stone, really. Anyhow, so that works very fast, and then we've got this felt covered wheel with which we impregnate a honing compound, and then as an added extra, this solid leather disc that is for sharpening gouges. Now, this is similar to the Tormek machine, although Tormek is about 3 or 4 times the price. With money comes quality, comes features. I'm perfectly happy with the quality and the features of this Triton one, except for the fact that the on switch is round the back. That's a little bit annoying. But anyway, I'm going to set her up and let's get going. These wheels are currently spinning freely, and there's a tensioning device on the front which slows it down. Apparently in the instructions, which I actually read, it says that if you leave it under tension it deforms belts or something like that. So tension it up, and that changes how hard you can push. And the torque adjustment, not tension. Warning, add water before use, loosen torque adjustment knob after use. Okay, so we've got this little water bucket, which I've actually got full of water already. Now the thing with these water stones is that if left dry, this is going to soak up a lot of water, and you can't use it dry. So what I tend to do is fill this up, see how much water the stone absorbs, and at some point it reaches parity. So the bottom of the stone is just soaking in water, and yeah, that will do. You can see it soaking it up from the side here. That's actually absorbing in. That's quite fascinating. Now, these are messy tools. This here is a seed tray that my friend who has a Tormek uses for his, and frankly, I'm really annoyed that I hadn't thought of it. Okay, it's a very quiet machine. The only issue with the Triton one is that switch is there, and I think it's a feature on quite a few cheaper tools, or mid-priced, should I say, because it's a good machine. And these come with various different attachments. Anyhow, turn that off so you can hear how quiet it is. The stone is still sucking up a bit of water. I have used it once today already, so it's not going to take too much. It comes with a very useful guide for setting the angle. The Tormek one has an adjustment to set the diameter of your stone and then the angle. And this is a little bit more precise, but this works just as well. So here's our chisel, a little bit cleaned up, but the bevel angle is way, way wrong. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is put this chisel in and set the bevel angle. There's a location bar on the end here, and that holds it straight and square. And then with this, you set that to 30 degrees, and when this flat area is flat on the chisel and touching the stone, it is roughly going to be at the right angle. I say roughly because with these stones, they do actually, obviously, change size over time. And with this change in diameter, the angle changes. With the Tormac, picked up a hook. With the Tormac tool, you've set the angle, and you also set the diameter of that your wheel is currently at. So that's quite interesting. Anyhow, that's set, and we basically want to start cutting. So this is the correct way to do it. We've got the support on the back so that the water will come up and go over the end of the chisel. This is ever so slightly messy. The Triton tool has got a little guard on the inside here to stop the water going onto the machine itself. Let me try and keep my hand out the way. I'd normally have 2 thumbs on there, but I'm going to avoid that so you can see what's happening. Now the other thing is that doing it this way, I'm not entirely sure why, but it does pull the burr up with the water, and it creates a nice burr that will help us sharpen. Now, of course, I've said before, and I'm going to say it in pretty much every single video of this entire series, in order to sharpen something, the definition of sharp is where 2 mirror surfaces meet at an angle. And the way to get the sharpest of sharpie things, that's a technical term, you create a burr on something coarse and then knock it off. And then you move on and you keep on creating a burr with finer and finer stones or tools or polishing compounds, etc. And the burr gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and every single time you knock that burr off, you end up with a sharper edge. If you knock the burr off after using a fairly coarse stone, you're going to have a fairly sharp tool, but something that is not razor sharp. And you keep on going through finer and finer grits, and you end up with true sharpness. It sounds almost zen. In fact, see, I jest. Sharpening is my meditation. Anyhow, the next stage is that, and as I've said, it's two sides. This is, you know, I've slightly changed the angle. Let's see what you can see. You can see where it's got a different hue. That's actually really relatively sharp, and it's pulling up a burr on there. But the back of this chisel is still off whoever was dremeling or angle grinding or whatever. Now, the literature says that you're supposed to try and run, when you're using this kind of machine, supposed to use the side of your stone to flatten that. I am dubious, dude. I don't think it's going to work. Anyhow, basically what I'm trying to say, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm going to take this thing off now and try and flatten this back. Now, one thing I notice is the wheel is dry on the inside, so I'm going to have to try and stick around the edge. Watch how fast isn't that beautiful? I'm about to hypnotize myself. Awesome. The stone is just sucking it up as I go, and yeah, that's awesome. Anyhow, now, very carefully, this is how you're supposed to do this if you have one of these machines. I really don't think that it's precise enough. I have hit this with the leveling stone that comes with the machine, but I just don't think that the side is flat enough. The leveling stone that comes with this machine is coarse on one side and finer on another, which also is supposed to help set the grit. So that's quite flat, and yeah, actually I'm surprised. It seems to be, you can see that, that area. And it's quite a positive. This feels safer than when I was doing the same job on the Silby Pro Edge belt sanding machine. It just, again, it's the same exact problem. The sanding machine is always flat, because the sandpaper is flat on something that is flat, and you know, it's flat and square. This is a water stone and a stone-based thing, which is going to wear, and I can feel some irregularities in it. But there we go, you can see the light. This is actually starting to work. I've just moved this bar onto the front section. It actually gives you something to rest on. Now, because this chisel was so messed up, this is taking quite some time. However, to flatten the edge of a standard chisel that's already been leveled and is nice and flat, I'm just trying to find one. I actually think this is, well, I was quite dubious, and I'm not now. It's doing the job quite well. I don't think it is. I don't think it's perfectly flat or will stay perfectly flat, but it's quite a large surface area. So, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to measure this against a straight edge or a set square or something that I trust, and see how flat this ends up when we get there. But as ever, with a water wheel, frankly, it's a water wheel. It's keeping this whole thing nice and cool. It is sedate. It is quiet. I am going to be here for quite some time, I suspect. This might not be the best machine to take a chisel from raw, rusty, car boot sale level, such as this one, to final finish, rapidly at least, but it's certainly doing it surprisingly well. Okay, I've just set up the bevel angle. This is a leather-ish or felt wheel, and you charge it with a honing compound. The honing compound is basically a polish suspended in a soap-like substance. Now, I'm using this, woohoo, because it's there. I suspect I could hone it just as well without the jig. And that is quite substantial. Crikey. So the leather is basically pulling a burr, or the honing compound, the polishing compound, and I think we're going to do rather well. The back was flattened very creditably. Turns out that the inside side was much coarser, and we're going to end up with something really sharp in a second. You can also do the back, and should, well, you're going to have to take it out the jig, aren't you? On here. Just make absolutely certain that you don't go too far down. Because if you dig in like that, you're not going to polish it, you're just going to ruin it. Having taken the burr off, which did take quite a lot of work. Essentially, this is a fairly coarse stone. It's sort of midway between the two. I have still got some marks in the chisel, and it's not absolutely mirror. I can see it's shiny. It's definitely shiny. You can see me mirror signaling you away there. But it's not as shiny as it would be if it had gone over a 4,000 grit stone. And it took me quite a while to get the burr off on the lapping wheel. It's called a lapping wheel. Now, this isn't a problem because, frankly, again, I would use this machine to get the correct bevel angle and also to prepare a tool. So, for example, I've got a chisel here that a couple of apprentices seem to have borrowed and hammered into a nail or two. So I would use this machine to reset that angle. It's not particularly fast at large scale cutting back. The belt sander is definitely quicker at that. However, as an all-in-one sharpening solution, I don't think this or any other machine ever will be absolutely perfect. Now, I had some paper the other day. Let's have a look at this. So this is okay, it's cutting. That is definitely cutting. This is sharp enough for anybody who wants to do basic woodwork, or for anybody that wants to rough out, I don't know, even furniture makers, for the most part, would be completely happy with how sharp this is. I'm not, because I'm a crazy perfectionist and sharpening is I have a slight problem, shall we say, as is evidenced by this series. However, this really is a sharp tool. Okay, and all I've done is I've used the Triton Whetstone, what do they call it? Whetstone Sharpener, the Triton Whetstone Sharpener, and the lapping wheel. Now, most people will use this in conjunction with some, at the very least, a 4,000 or a 6,000 grit water stone. Flattening the back on this is not particularly safe. It's much faster than flattening a rough back on a new old sort of chisel than it is to do it on a waterstone, for example. My waterstones go from 800 grit up, and however, a diamond stone, 300 grit diamond stone, that would be pretty good at flattening the back as well. So there are many different options. If you want to very quickly just fix an edge on a tool that is already mostly sharp, this is going to be great. If you've got your angle right, it's all set and ready to go, and this machine is just sitting there with next to a tap or something, and you just want to get the lapping wheel turning and go for it, that would be absolutely perfect. And at Crimson Guitars, we've got this set up in the sharpening station for exactly that. You've just lost your edge a little bit, quick turn this on, lap away, and you're sorted. Most of the time I'd also do that personally with a waterstone. But, well, I'm showing you all of the options. Now, this machine is also awesome with gouges because it's got a leather attachment for gouges. But when we go into specific sharpening of specific tools, I will show you that. A bit later in the series we're going to have a look at scrapers, and in one video we're going to go through multiple different options or tools or whatever. Same thing with gouges. We're going to go from various different types of stone and machine, etc., to get that sharp. So we've got that coming. Now, if you want to buy a Triton Whetstone Sharpener, I don't have a model number on it, check out our friends at Yandles, yandles.co.uk. They're my local purveyor of tools and lovely wood, whom I love. And yeah, they've got a web store where you can get this quite quite easily and quickly, and they're basically lovely people. In fact, they also stock various waterstones and things as well, so check that out. And if you want more specs on the Triton tool, go to tritontools.com. Yeah, tritontools.com. Let's try that one. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. In the next video, frankly, I don't actually know what I'm going to do in the next video yet. Come on then. In the next video, I am going to discuss the Scary Sharp system. Now, that can be powered and it can be human powered. So it's a good transition between the power tools and the stones. So thank you very much for watching. Come back for the next episode. If you've enjoyed this video, if it's been at all helpful, please click like, share it with all your friends, and subscribe to the channel. All of that really helps. It really helps. So yeah, thanks for that. Have a good day. Go and sharpen something.